story, I am in terrible pain. This indecision, confusion, and pain is almost unbearable. I am sure, like many of the other people's stories I have read here, this is not a unique story. Like many of the other people here, I just do not know what to do. My emotions and the swings in my thought processes are so dramatic that I just cannot get a handle on what is real, what is imagined, and what I want to do. It is easy to say, decide what you want to do and go for it, but that resolve is virtually impossible to grab and hold on to. I do not know what I want to do. In the meantime, my soul aches and I am paralyzed by indecision. A thumbnail sketch. My wife and I are in our mid-30s and have been together for 10 years. We've been married for almost half of that time, and we own a home together. In Texas, we have a child who's 3 years old. My wife and I are very opposite, about as opposite as two people can be. I struggled with a drinking problem for most of my life and, to some degree, throughout our entire relationship. It ran its course to the point that I could not control it anymore. I quit drinking and have not had a drink for almost 2 years. During the time that I was at my rock bottom, I was neglectful to her. Emotionally, I did not give her the attention that she wanted and probably deserved. This led to the understandable scenario of her seeking comfort elsewhere. She is a very needy person. Enter the opportunity, the OAM. This person has been her friend for as long as I've known her. I never felt threatened by this person, even though I was aware that he had feelings for her. However, she never reciprocated those feelings, and they were just best friends. I have hung out with him a bunch of times, and we were surface friends. Due to his sales job, he travels often and is sometimes out of the country or living in another state for extended periods of time. This person is also very needy and clingy. Frankly, I always viewed him as sad. If my personality is that of an alpha, he would be exactly the opposite. Anyway, the rest of this story is commonplace from what I have read about other people's stories. There is a Facebook addiction, constant secret texting up to 10 times per day, long calls in the middle of the night, and almost constant contact during the hours she is away from me. There are secret gifts, suspicious behavior, no bonding, or even intimate contact for over a year. We don't even sleep in the same room anymore. My wife has withdrawn and doesn't want to work on our marriage. She's given up and checked out. It all adds up very clearly. I have lots of circumstantial evidence, but no smoking gun. When you combine the entire story and timelines together, there really is no other answer. I have remained distant and tried not to exhibit any jealousy. I have given her space to come around, and I had always been very confident that I was the one. But we had some issues to work through. However, that has not happened. As a matter of fact, I think exactly the opposite has been happening. So, I have a million things to work through in my head, and my soul is shattered into a million pieces. I just don't know what to do. I would expect that the first thing I need is confirmation of my suspicions. That I'm afraid may never get. Obviously, I've confronted her about it. As expected, she just dismisses it and lies about most everything. Some of the things she tells me or explains away when I confront her about them are absolute lies. I have evidence of her lies, but they are so vague that there remains a way for her to wiggle out of them with another explanation. But I tread carefully and try to be cautious about how much I reveal that I do know. Since I've made her aware that I know or suspect something is going on, she has become more guarded and seems to be more careful. She's a lot to lose, least important of which is our marriage. What is important to her is our home and our child. And the most important thing she is protecting is what other people think of her. That above all else seems to be the most important thing in the world to her. I have no one to talk to. I'm literally going crazy. I must know for sure. After some research, I found that they text and send instant messages hundreds of times. Some days it is up to 50+ times a day. I have no access to her iPhone, as she keeps it tied to her 24 hours a day and is extra cautious about leaving it around. She guards it with her life. The comments, "You should be prepared for what comes next" as well. Some women will use the moment when they are caught to leave, especially ones that have already checked out. Sitting around and giving her space will never lead to anything but heartbreak for you. Enough about her, though. What have you been doing to improve yourself? What steps have you taken to draw her back to you? If you are not sure what steps to take, look around this section and other stories. There are lots of useful links to help you get started. You state you are tired of the indecision. This is a two-person marriage, so take steps to improve yourself. While continuing to show her your love and dedication, the progression, together or apart, puts pressure for a decision to be made. We all hope for a resolution within your marriage. However, responds as far as giving her space, I did not know what else to do. The space is what she asked for, and in my arrogance, I assumed she would come around and realize how much she loved me. As I mentioned, and as you pointed out, I guess I was wrong. All I did was give her more justification for the affair, and more space to fertilize the relationship with the other man. Regarding your question about what I have done to improve myself, as a person, it is night and day. The person I am today is nothing like the person I was 18 months ago. As far as working out and other image improvement activities, I probably haven't done enough. I began working out again after I quit drinking at Cerreto, but after a few months, that fell to the wayside. I've been so consumed with this, and trying to raise our child, along with a million other things, it was easy to quickly fall out of that. I'm trying not to knee-jerk or just react. There are so many emotions that swing so ferociously and essentially cripple my ability to think clearly and to even function normally. A question: who would be beneficial for me to try to speak with the people that influence her so much? Does her family, including her siblings, parents, and best friends, have such a strong influence on her? She constantly vents to them about everything. I now believe that her campaign to convince them of all the bad things I've supposedly done to her is partly to justify her actions in her own mind or in their eyes. I had purposely kept my distance from them, hoping that she would come around. I've never expressed my true feelings about her or our marriage to them, instead relying on my actions to speak for me. As for Facebook, I've allowed her to have her own private space on there, and I never go on the site myself. I avoid it because I tend to read into her communications with others, including the other man, which only fuels my anger and frustration. Would it help or hurt me to insert myself into her world and openly share my feelings in front of these people who clearly have a strong influence on her? I have been very selective about who I confide in, and while I no longer have suspicions, I have shared my concerns with my closest friends. I have no intention of sharing anything about the emotional affair with anyone else. I simply want to express my love for her and my determination to save our marriage. I am usually very private about marital issues and believe they should be kept between a husband and wife. I have not felt the need to defend myself or campaign to others about our problems, but it seems my wife has no such reservations. I don't know how this may sound, but I honestly don't care what others think. However, I am starting to wonder if I should start caring more about their opinions, as they clearly have an impact on my wife's thoughts and actions. I have told her numerous times that I want to save our marriage, but she remains unresponsive. I've also expressed my frustration at not being able to do it alone if she doesn't participate. I feel like I'm just spinning my wheels, and the longer I do, the more frustrated and hurt I become. Any attempts at physical or verbal intimacy are met with rejection. I have tried many of the things you suggested, such as helping with household chores and giving massages in hopes of bonding with her. But it's been over 18 months, and nothing has changed. When I try to touch her, she recoils, and I can't help but feel like she's cheating on someone. I've been told that she just needs space, and doesn't know what she wants. But I am broken and feel like I have no control over the situation. I realize that everything I do seems to work against me, and it's like sinking in quicksand. I understand how unattractive it is to be needy or insecure, and I do my best not to appear that way. But in order to do that, I have to create some distance, which only seems to make things worse. I am a strong person, and I understand the psychology behind what's happening, but I am only human, and it's hard to endure the pain and still remain the loving, understanding, and devoted person I want to be. Recipes seem to call for adding the dynamic of her being shut off and absolutely no chance of progress or reconciliation with the other man in the picture. But there are no realistic chances of removing him from the picture as things stand. I am just losing it inside, a little at a time. Logically, I must move on, but I promised. I feel a responsibility to my wife, my son, and above all, myself not to give up. If I do, I have failed all of us. That almost sounds pathetic just writing it. Something inside me screams, don't be stupid. Wake up. Even knowing that my thought process is highly flawed, that does not give me the freedom to act against it. How messed up is that? This is ridiculous. The biggest problem I have is that my wife will not admit to this emotional affair. A physical affair? No way, no chance. I have confronted her about it, and she absolutely denies it, saying they are just friends. My confrontations are direct, but I do not and will not show all my cards. The fact is, I do not have enough cards to absolutely and undeniably bring this thing into the light. As a standard, my confrontations have caused them to be more cautious. I have way more than enough evidence to confirm that this is a fact, but no smoking gun. Without being able to get this big gorilla in the light, there is no next step. As I mentioned, I know this other man. We have mutual acquaintances, and he was my friend. I have never confronted him with any of this. I am hesitant to do so in fear that it will only cause more denial, but my gut is burning to set off those fireworks. Regarding the suggestions of technical solutions, I have explained above why these are not a realistic option. Particularly with them on guard now, her phone is always glued to her. Furthermore, I just noticed that the phone suddenly has a lockout installed. What do? Let it play out, give more space, therefore further enabling this to continue and possibly allowing a more solid and deniable scenario to be concocted. Just sit back like a doormat and wait? I think most of you who struggled with this hell know that this is not possible for me. I need to know. I take that back. I know. I need to prove it so I can move on to the next step. She appears willing to just let it go. As I have read, this fog thing is very strong. She is blocked off. If I initiate divorce proceedings and follow through, chances are she will follow along, and that eliminates ever having to admit the emotional affair took place. The ing falls back on me. I'm such a terrible person, and everything is my fault. I am almost sure that by doing that, it would play right into her hands. She would like nothing better than for me to just let go and push for a divorce. Why wouldn't she? It gives her all the emotional outs she needs. She gets to pursue this emotional affair in the light, while I am seen as the bad guy. She has already laid tons of groundwork in the background to make me the villain. No, that just will not do. I am doing what I can to improve myself as a man and getting back to the person who has always been inside of me. I am almost constantly researching and reflecting on what I have done and how I can fix myself and be a good father and husband. If I thought that I was incapable of being a great husband, I wouldn't be fighting so hard to save this. Above all, I do want her to be happy. I've done a lot of healing as a person. I've been on a journey. It has been a tough journey, and I'm sure it will continue to be a tough road. I am prepared for that. Giving up, while scary, is by far the easier thing to do right now. If this is regarding improvement of looks, health, etc., I'm working on that and will continue to work on it. I have made an effort to be more aware of my appearance, new clothes, etc. I have lost 15 pounds since I quit drinking over a year ago. I know there is more work to do, and I will continue to do it. And esetibles wepuncio. I had an interesting couple of days. I don't know that anything has changed, but I felt like I had to do something. So I did, and finally decided that I had to speak to our parents and at least make them understand how I felt and who I am as a man. I decided that I had to share what I knew, or more accurately, what I thought I knew, omitting why I knew it. The long and short of it was that I told them I knew there was someone else, having no idea if they knew. And I did not know what I could do, that I loved their daughter and I made a promise. Well, it would be easier to cut my losses and walk away, which is exactly what I think she would like me to do. I cannot. Not just because I love her. That really has very little to do with it. It's because I have a responsibility to my son and to myself. I made a promise. That promise was not just to her. It was to myself. Ex habets appearance. I spoke to my wife after the conversation. She admitted as much as I will ever be able to expect her to admit. That yes, she has been talking to the other man for a long time, and that it had gone too far, and that she does love him. That he was there for me when I needed someone to talk to. Beyond that, I could not get any details about exactly what has been done or said. I'm not sure at this point how important that is. I think that it may eventually become very important for me to know, but right now I just know what my soul already knew. That yes, there is someone else. Any busman's opinionity? As far as our conversation about us and our future, there wasn't much difference in that conversation. It was more of the same conversation that we have had many times in the last year or two. I heard her, but she doesn't know what she wants. It's like talking to a brick wall. I'm unsure where to go from here. Just a quick update. There are obviously a lot more details, thoughts, feelings, etc. involved with what is happening. They are a jumble right now. The only clarity I have is a resolve not to quit my family. What I did not include in my last update was that I sent the other man an email stating simply that we needed to talk. I got a reply that he would call me. He left a message on Sunday, really simple, "Hey, how's it going? Just returning your call." I've not spoken to him yet. Aside from having the flu all week and being very sick and not being able to get my head straight, I have not decided how to handle this call. We do need to talk, and I will put it out there exactly how I should do that. confrontational, adversarial, and articulately explaining what he is doing and the consequences, collateral effects. I simply said that I loved my wife and would do anything to save my family. He replied with shock and denial, asking me what I was talking about and being indignant that I would accuse him of anything. He said that your wife and I are just friends and wanted to talk, so I did. It was more of the same, denial, etc. But I do not know what else I would have expected, and I am certain that my wife was aware. I spoke with him, but she never confronted me about it or even brought it up. She accused me of snooping on her and said she felt like I was always watching her. She said she felt like a child being watched by her parents and didn't want to feel that way. I really do not like the person that this situation is turning me into. We spoke last night and I confronted her again. She seemed to be expecting it, or rather instigating me. Anyway, she admitted to everything I suspected. She is having an emotional affair with the person I mentioned. This has been ongoing for a long time. Apparently, they have been cyber boyfriend and girlfriend. I say cyber because, as I mentioned, the communication is all through text and phone. He's not been in town for over a year. She assured me that she has never been physically with him. Whether I believe that entirely, I do not know. It is hard to know what to believe. They're in love with each other, but she doesn't know what she wants. She is torn. I asked her, "What do you want me to do about this?" Her reply was, "I don't know." I guess much of this is textbook for affairs, and her being deep in the fog does not feel as cut and dry as it does in the textbook when it stomped into my soul. This conversation was last night, and I haven't done anything yet. I am frankly too overwhelmed to think straight, and I don't trust myself to make decisions when I am this emotionally compromised. Obviously, I'm incredibly hurt, angry, and confused. Please talk to me. Do I need to strike while the iron is hot? Is it imperative that I move quickly and decisively? 3 things I think are important, and I should mention. First, while I am crippled with pain and indecision, deep down, I do love my wife, and I want to do everything I can to save my marriage and family. Second, she claims that no one knows. Her family doesn't know. I mentioned that I had told her parents what I suspected. When they spoke with her about it, she told me that she assured them the same as she assured me and that nothing was happening. She said that she lied to them about it, and they believed her and said, "We didn't think so." Third, this other person, my friend, is in the military. When I said he traveled, that's why. Because of that fact, I do have that card, but I don't want to play it if I am not forced to. The military frowns upon this type of thing big time, like the military. It's a code of conduct. It takes everything in me not to confront him about this now that the cat's out of the bag and denial is not an option. We obviously live together and own a home legally. I have been advised that leaving the family home is one sure way I could get screwed legally as far as who gets the house. If I were to leave the family home in legal terms, that would constitute abandonment, and she could easily leverage that into being awarded the house if this situation ends in divorce. Leaving is not an option. A natural ending of the affair is not going to happen. This man is undoubtedly very in love with my wife. This has been ongoing for a long time, and he is very needy and clingy. He is not going to walk away. He was engaged once before when his fiancée cheated on him and left the relationship. He tried to commit suicide. I just don't know how he will handle this breakup, but I can assure you it will not be pretty, and he will not handle it like a man and walk away. She couldn't have chosen a worse person to attach to. Consequences. The problems with our relationship stemmed from my emotional and physical unavailability. I've been trying this distance thing for some time, and it has only made things much worse. Aside from enabling the extramarital relationship and pushing her closer to him as she seeks comfort and companionship, it further cements her belief that I will not be there for her. This distance thing has done the exact opposite of what I had hoped. I do not think that is a good idea. I am drafting this letter today and have been thinking it over. My only concern or sticking point is that I have looked around and found sample consequence letters online. Some are terrific, and I'm sure they may be useful when I get to this stage. Does anyone else have a link to sample disclosure letters or letters to send to friends and family about the affair? I just can't decide how far to throw this out there. I do not want to humiliate my wife. More importantly, I don't know if I want to humiliate her family, which is a real concern. They are old-fashioned, and I'm not sure exactly how alienated they would be if I were to send this letter to the world. I'm just having trouble with this. I have spoken with my employer about the whole situation and let them know what is going on and the effect it has been having. It will likely continue to affect my work. As far as sending this to her employer, she is a school teacher. Or sending this to the other man's family or employer who is in the military, I just don't know. Regarding our friends and her personal friends, many of whom she is distanced from me and no doubt convinced what a terrible guy I am. I'm not sure how far to push this. I am taking action. I wrote the letter and sent it to all her closest friends. I also spoke personally with her parents again and contacted her sister. I don't know how this will turn out when the dust settles, but so far it's a mixed bag. The conversation with her parents and sister was a disaster. They were very defensive, and the theme of the conversation was mixed between blaming me, justifying the affair which they must have said about 100 times, and urging me to give up and walk away. The same goes for her sister. She does not like me and has never been supportive of our relationship. She was also quite hurtful and continuously attacked me. Again, it was more of the maybe it just wasn't meant to be stuff. Those conversations were painful and very dejecting. I guess I should have expected all of that. Deep down I did, but I still said it. I explained how I feel and what I'm trying to do. It might end up doing more harm than good, but I said what I had to. The letters to our close friends seem to be working better. Almost all of them have gotten involved and have asked my wife to talk. They want to help, which is surprising. They told her, the wives in our group of close friends, 3 or 4 of them, that they have arranged an intervention and want her to come meet with all of them to talk. Her sister, who I spoke with and disclosed my feelings to, and whom I explained is not like me and has made it clear that she has never thought I was the right guy for her sister, wants me to forward the email I sent to my friends to her. I've told her exactly what I said in the email when I spoke with her. She made it clear that she does not support me or the marriage and would just assume I walk away. She was, and I guess still is, very concerned with what I said in this email. I had intended on sending it to her when I sent it to my other friends, but I didn't have her email address at the time. When she asked me, obviously my wife told her about it. What is with this email you're sending to everyone telling them my sister is having an affair? She asked. I explained again what it said and offered to send it to her. She said, if you want to. It doesn't matter, but now today she's asking me for it. How do we handle that? She is obviously not going to support me in my efforts to save my marriage and is clearly more concerned that I am slandering her sister or something like that. Do I? I don't want to alienate her family any more than necessary. They are an extremely important part of her life, but they're not going to help me here. Regarding informing my wife's employer, I cannot risk putting her job and career at risk. The hornet's nest with her family, who have made it clear that they do not support me in these efforts and are making excuses for her, is stirred up as badly as can be imagined. They are a very close family, and I do not know if I can fight a full onslaught campaign against me coming directly from them. She's very humiliated and very angry with me, which, as you've pointed out, was to be expected. She believes that I'm trying to hurt her and has accused me of manipulating everyone around me. She believes that everything I do is manipulation. No matter what I say or do, I'm accused of manipulation. Regarding informing his family and employer, that is the next step. I do not know who his parents are or how to reach them. And from what I understand, I don't know how much that will matter. I have been told that they are estranged to some degree, but that is not going to stop me from trying. I'm sending him a letter informing him to cease contact with my wife. Verbally, I've already done that, and he says via text that he won't talk to me anymore. He's avoiding me and backing off until we figure out what we are going to do. Obviously, I don't believe him. Even if he is, I'm certain he's playing the I'll be waiting when you decide card with her. I need to find a way to sever it or try to be on his side. The pressure on my wife's side is being applied. The other man claimed that he will not contact her again until we figure out our situation and she figures out what she wants. She claimed in her last conversation that he has not contacted her in almost a week and that he does not want to talk to her right now. Whether or not I believe either of them about anything is a whole different story. I just do not know what to believe. I'm not sure which way is up and which way is down at this point. She is clearly going through fog withdrawal. We got into an agreement and conversation this weekend that prompted me to tell her that I have done everything that I can and that I am just about done. To which I got the response, well then what are we gonna do? Clearly, she was prompting me to suggest divorce and push in that direction. She's done this a number of times recently. I told her that I understood what she was going through and where she was going with that. I tried to make her understand that I knew she was going through withdrawal and that most of the stages and reactions that she has had during this crisis were common for people who are going through what is happening. She acted like she really wanted help and wanted to understand these things that are happening to us. I showed her the link which was posted. Above that outlines the common stages of female adultery and some of the feelings women commonly have during this time. She seemed receptive and even replied with, "So this is normal." These feelings, I don't know if showing her these things was good or bad. I have an overwhelming instinct to try to help her and help her understand that I know what she must be going through, despite her showing very little empathy for what I am enduring. I did not know what to make of our interactions the remainder of the weekend. I have been right there the entire time, and I have made sure to be myself and do the little things. I feel like I was supportive and continued to be a good father. I did not withdraw, which is my instinct and coping mechanism when faced with such enormous pain. It is clear that she has not made a decision and is still on the fence about what she wants. Our interactions still seemed forced, like she was going through the motions, but not really there. She was polite and tried to talk with me, making small talk, but I got the feeling that she just doesn't like confrontation, and above all, she doesn't want to hurt me. She would love it if we could remain friends through this. Right after the above text, she called me a few hours later. She has been going out of her way to include me in things that involve my son over the last week. She sent me videos of him playing games while I was out of the house, had coffee and talked with my best friend about this situation, and interacted with other friends who are offering me much-needed support. She even sent me emails about events that involve my son and pictures of a bike we are buying him for Christmas. When she called, she asked me why I was acting weird. She said, "Why are you acting strange?" I'm trying here. I'm really trying. When you act strange, it's hard for me. Admittedly, I may be guarded, but I have continued to do the things I've always done. To uncover what has caused me to be very skeptical. I've been lied to repeatedly for so long. It's difficult not to be. I do not feel like she is trying. If anything, she may be trying or saying. She is just to be able to say she is. This happened when we went to a marriage counselor about a year ago. We went 3 times, all of which were really a joke, aside from the counselor being just awful. The entire thing seemed like it was me trying to get through to her and her venting about all the things I've done to her emotionally. We were not working on anything. It seems she was just explaining why she was not working on it. It was just disastrous and very frustrating. More brick wall. Obviously, come to find out, she was having this affair during that entire time frame, but a month after the fact, she said, "Well, I tried marriage counseling." My comment? Maybe it just can't be fixed. This is a short series with a slow start, but it has a good ending as well. So subscribe and hit the bell, enjoy your Thanksgiving, and prepare for part 2.